Hey everyone, it's Julian. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Melodic UK Future Garage. This is definitely one of my favorite styles, one of the reasons I even got into producing in the first place, so I'm really excited to be showing you guys how to make it today. As usual, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, the entire template you just heard in the intro. It's available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that, guys. Really helps support me. Plus, this is one of the best templates for the style on the market I've ever heard. I put a ton of time into studying this, and now you can benefit from that and get a really high quality template and make your best tracks today. Trust me, I wish this stuff was available back when I was first getting into this stuff. So definitely go grab that. And yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. Let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 132 BPM. And you can see I've split everything up into these like color-coded groups. So we have our main synths. We have our vocals. We have like the main kick and snare. And then our percussion. And I think splitting it into these groups really helps, because like when you hear these tracks, you know, it can be a bit overwhelming, and I think just kind of really trying to break it down from like the most basic thing, sort of working back from that is going to be the best way to do it. So in the case of this, you know, usually I like to just start with a nice kind of construction of synths. This one starts with the bass, which is the chord progression. So we're in G sharp minor, but you actually save for the third chord to be G sharp, right? So it's like you can feel that that's the key we're in, but you don't get that resolution of hitting the root note until that third chord. Right, so we're going 6th, 4th, 1st. And then that's just an octave of that. For the actual sound, it's made with 3 layers, all made with wavetable. So we've got this one, which is just this respace. You can see it's 2 side waves detuned a bit with a bandpass filter. And some unison, right? So we're getting this like... And then we're distorting it with an amp. I've got this layer, which is kind of more like the sub. You can see I've actually got the sub oscillator. We've got a pretty similar patch to what you just saw, but the bandpass filter is much lower. And usually when you make a respace like this, you would use a low pass, but using the bandpass gives us a nice feeling. Plus we got some unison. And then we have this layer for a little bit more crunch on top. And again, this is just respace 2 side waves with a bandpass filter and a little bit of a different distortion. And then this one you can hear just adds a nice texture on top. Then we have the lead. So what we're doing here, again, we're in the key of G sharp minor. You know, this is kind of like 2 different arps. It's like... So if we look at that, that's minor 3rd, root note, and 5th. Or 6th. Then we go root note, 6th, root note, 6th, 5th, but it's up an octave. So these are actually like very simple. It's notes that you saw in this bass line as well, a lot of these. But it's nice to have this kind of stay static and then change kind of like halfway through while the bass is constantly changing. Right, so then for the sound on this one, it's made with with analog. It's actually a pretty simple sound. It's just 2 saw waves at the same octave. We have a low pass filter with no envelope, but we have a pretty good amount of key tracking. So you can hear you get a slightly different sound based on where it is. If I turn the key tracking off, it's a lot less dynamic. Then we have a bit of vibrato, well, a lot of vibrato. We have a bit of unison, and we have a bit of glide. I have some reverb. We're distorting all this with a pedal. Here's without that. And then with it. So obviously that's what gives it the texture. High pass filter to make sure this doesn't get too muddy. And then this auto pan, which is giving it like a half note kind of pulse. Which you can hear makes it bounce really well off of the drums. And then we have this pad. So this is meant to fit over the bass line, which is, again, that's the chord progression. And this is kind of like its own progression, loosely following that. We're meant to kind of sit over top of it. And you can see, you know, like, that's just the G sharp minor, for example. Even though there the bass is playing E major. You know, here we have like that C sharp minor. But it's just all inversions. You can see it's just like basic chords but spread out across the keyboard. And then for the sound, this one's made with Operator. It's so good for making these like kind of mysterious, cool pads with a more interesting texture. Because if you just use saw waves and square waves all the time, it gets really flat and it kind of just starts to sound like all the same thing. So if you use something like this, you know, where it's just sine waves, but at different octaves and detuned with the FM, plus a bandpass. Again, you can just get a more interesting texture with this than you would if you just keep using saw waves and square waves and like sort of bland sine waves all the time. We have a bit of chorus, a bit of reverb, and then a high pass filter, and that's all the synths. So again, it really helps to just show you, like, even though these tracks might seem very full and like there's a lot going on, you know, it's just 3 synths. Then we have the vocals. And this kind of allows me to show you 3 different vocal techniques. So the first one here is actually me. I sang this. I'll show you the original recording. It was this. Right, I took that. I auto-tuned into G sharp minor because that's the key we're in with this Max for Live auto-tune. So it's nice because you can get auto-tune without having to have a plug-in. This is in Ableton, and you can use this with any version of Ableton. We have reverb, drum buzz, high pass, and then the end a little low pass. You can hear it just makes it a little bit more lo-fi. So that's one way to do that. Again, it's just I sang that thing. I think I pitched up this syllable and then brought this one. So again, just recording your voice into the auto-tune and then pitching it around, and you'll find something cool like that. Then there's this vocal. So this is another way to get kind of like cool future garage vocals with a texture kind of already in it. Because this has, you can hear, this is a sample which has a vocal, and it also has a chord. This is from like an old jungle track. And then you can hear when you add all of that, the chord that's in there from the synth and the little vocal, it's all going to sit really nicely on all this other melodic stuff. Right, you can hear that all sits really well as long as you get this in key. So that's another style of vocal chopping that's used a lot in these tracks. And then the last one is kind of more like the classic like burial style. So what this is this vocal.
Let it go! Let it go!
Right, and then what I did is you can see I chopped it so I had all the individual syllables, and then they're all at different pitches.
Let it go!
If I turn up the delay, you can really hear it.
Let it go! Let it go!
Right?
Let it go!
So that's how you get those burial type vocals, where you have to chop it into the individual syllables, keep the same, you know, pattern, like don't take this and start moving the syllables, but chop the individual syllables and then pitch them on their own, and you'll get that. And then it's just going through a bit of delay, high pass, and then another one of those low pass filters to make it a bit more lo-fi. So then we have the drums. Now, these drums can seem daunting, especially when you hear them in a track and you don't really understand how it works. The secret is you're going to start with the most basic layers first, which would be these. Hear how, like, if you play just the kick and the snare on its own, it's a great groove, regardless of all this other stuff. So that's how you want it to be. You want a good kick and a good snare to start off with. So for the kick, we're using this one. It's pretty much just like this big fat 909 kick. That's what this minimal kick here is. It's just a 909, right? Like a big fat one though. No processing needed. Just turn it up. And then we also have you can hear this rim shot, which is 2 layers where it's this very punchy rim, and then to fill it out and add some background percussion, I have this little break chop. And you can hear it's cool because it adds percussion since you have that. And that's a good way to add some rhythm to this, having a snare which has a little bit of percussion. So once you have that, then you can get the hi-hat. And this is another break chop. We're taking this like this. Where is it? Right here. That. And then I've just got the velocity going. And if you pitch this down, you can hear it'll fit in with the beat. So we got that. Then you can move up. There's like a shaker loop. Some nice organic percussion. I also have this shaker. You can hear it just fills out the upbeats a little bit more. We have this group, which is essentially a bunch of drum breaks high passed. And what's happening is you can hear, if I play that with the kick and snare, you can really hear what it's doing. So this is where all this percussion is happening. Again, you have to get the main elements first. But once you have those, you can take these breaks and chop them up. And you can see there's all this little stuff happening, like just using the rhythm that's in there. Like this one, for example. See how that's like got that. See how you can kind of make it like work together with what's already in there? And there's just a ton of that. And then a lot of call and response. Like, for example, there's like this one and this one. And then, if that's not. You see how they're all like working together. It's not actually that hard to do though, but it just seems like a lot when you're listening to the whole track. So at this point, we have all of this for the drums. Now we need one more thing, which I would say would be kind of like some more like synthy sort of drums, so to speak, or like some more like just kind of floating percussion, you could say. So what that is we got this. So this is a drum rack. It's actually one of these I found in the Ableton sidebar that's just like in there that you just kind of have when you get Ableton. I took this boom kit and I just got a bunch of little percussions from that. And I'll play that with the main beat so you can kind of hear where it's going. You can hear it adds a lot of life to the beat. So yeah, that's just that last thing that can really bring the beat to life, just having like a little bit of almost animation over it. And then the last element we have down here is just a bit of atmospheric noise. You can see that's turned up the loudest because it tends to get buried in the mix, so you want to make sure it's up loud enough where you can even hear it if you're going to add it. And there you go. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that. Don't miss out while it's still available. It's one of the best templates for Future Garage on the market. I'm telling you guys, I wish there was something like this back in the day when I was trying to learn how to make these tracks. So definitely go grab and support so I can keep bringing you guys new videos like this every single day. Thank you so much for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.